Kellen Gallagher, it's good to see you. It's wonderful to have you here to break it down for us on transitioning. And when I say transitioning, I'm talking about making moves from one career to another or changes in life and that sort of thing. Why don't you first just talk about your career before transition to where you are now, your military career. What'd you do and how'd you get there?
I literally left my all-girls Catholic high school. I graduated and ran away. I told no one I was joining the Army. I joined the Army behind my parents' back.
There's a transition in and of itself.
That was culture shock is what that was. And I had an airborne guarantee, so I became a chemical operations specialist, so nuclear, biological, chemical warfare, and I jumped out of planes. So I went to jump school, got my jump wings, and then I pretty quickly deployed to war in Desert Shield and then Desert Storm, serving over there as a chemical specialist. I had my one enlistment, but even just that one enlistment, that was my entire adult identity when I got out. I went in as a child and came out as an adult. That was my adult identity. So the transition out for me was, unique and different. It was unexpected and hard to know how to put one foot in front of the other.
So what's powerful about this is, you really do, in a sense, practice what you preach. You're able to talk about this idea of transitioning as somebody that's really made some, I think one of the most dramatic kinds of transitions you can make. Talk about the two groups that you've worked with the most recently in this space, the military and athletes.
Yep.
What kinds of transitions are they going through?
Well, these are two special groups, athletes and military service members, because they're in areas where they have this sort of all-encompassed identity. Who they are is what they do. Those two things are fused. So for these two particular groups, it's especially difficult when what they do goes away, when it ends, because they feel like they've ended.
It's that fancy phrase, identity foreclosure. Is that what it is?
Yep, it is identity foreclosure. Yep.
You become, I guess the most negative way to say, you become too much of something and it's hard for you to think about being something else.
Right. There's just I see it often in veterans where there's just no room for a civilian self. They just can't let go of that identity enough to have this next phase of their life. And, I hear it from athletes as well. And both of these groups, in some ways, have to be really invested in this fusion of their identity because it's necessary for winning and it's necessary for survival.
We can't fault them for that. I think but it can be difficult to make a change to something else. And you look at those folks. What about the rest of us? And part of what I was thinking about was during this pandemic, a lot of us are thinking about our lives and whether or not we should make changes. What can you apply from those communities to regular people that are thinking about changing?
Yeah, I think as adults, we don't talk about transition enough and changes enough. They're normal. It's actually an opportunity for growth. They're always scary. There's always a sense of uncertainty. Like, if not this, at least this is what I know. I know this. And if this, whatever it is for you, goes away, that's uncertainty. And then some people in the face of uncertainty can be like paralyzed and don't know what to do. But if we always think about it as an opportunity for growth and exploration, we should be thinking about change long before it happens. You bring up the pandemic. The pandemic has forced some people into change. It has forced some people out of some careers. Not everybody is able to work from home. And so they have this unexpected transition that's happening and unwelcome in some ways. We typically wait until that moment to start thinking about it. But you bring up a good point in that right now, some people are starting to mull and think about change and what could that look like? And that's a good thing.
So who should we talk to? Who should we trust to have? These are kind of vulnerable conversations, right? To say, I've been a teacher all my life, and now I'm thinking I want to be a dental tech, and I want to take some classes and make a change. Yeah. Who should you talk to? Who in your life are the kinds of people that you've seen with military veterans and with athletes that have been most helpful in these conversations?
Actually, it's who you connect with that is the most important thing. That social relatedness, that social connection is the thing that will support you through a transition. It's the people in your life around you who you see doing what you want to do. It's the people, maybe not exactly what you want to do, maybe not dental tech, but you've seen that person go from A to B. You've seen that person make a move. Or, the people who know you best and support you the most. But it's really important that you don't try to do it in isolation, that you connect with people, that you interact and discuss and talk and plan. Those are definitely important things.
Now, you did this. I mean, you have a kind of multiple transition story. Why don't you talk a little bit about your transition and the pluses and minuses and the helpful people along the way?
The military doesn't do a lot to prepare you for leaving. They do a lot to sort of indoctrinate you in, right? I mean, that's intensive training to make you soldier, paratrooper. But when it's time to leave, it's more about cleaning and turning in your equipment and checking some boxes than it is really focusing on now what. And when I left the military, I was expected. It was the end of my enlistment. I was ready for it. I was counting down the days. But when it got there, it was really hard. And I found myself not surrounded at that time by any other women who had been through what I'd been through, who had been to war. I always say I was front line to front door in a couple of days, and I'm standing on a college campus. I sort of had to just bootstrap my way to find these connections that were meaningful, that could help me. And finding my veteran community, but not just my veteran community, the veterans around me who were taking the next step, not the ones who were staying in it. It was the ones who were putting themselves out there, and aligning myself with those people and working with them and talking with them. And that's the important distinction there.
And at that point, did you know where you were going when you began the transition journey?
No idea. I was going to be a chemical engineer. Then I became a speech language pathologist. And now I'm a senior researcher for Global Sport Institute. So journeys can come, a long way around.
Well, Dr. Karen Gallagher, thank you for breaking it down for us on people sitting out there during this pandemic, thinking about transitioning, making changes, and giving us a path to think about how we can continue to be successful in our lives. Thank you.
Thank you.
This hour of local news is made possible by contributions from the Friends of PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you. If you have comments about Arizona PBS News, please contact us at one of the addresses on your screen. Thank you.
For 33 years, across more than 1,500 episodes, Firing Line provided a platform for a substantive and balanced exchange of opinion. Today, we live in a time when meaningful discourse is needed more than ever.
Welcome to Firing Line, Secretary Condoleezza Rice.
Thank you. Our mission is to renew the Firing Line tradition for a new generation and engage in a debate about the America we want to create in the 21st century. Please join me.
Friday night at 7:30 on Arizona PBS.